So we just did a full segment on this. Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. And in response to this, I thought I would show you this video here to show some of the awkwardness at Infowars when Nick Fuentes, this was about a month ago, but I think this is worth showing right now. So this is why I say, what did I say? I say Alex Jones is the Cenk Uygur of conspiracy theorists, right? He has a real conspiracy guy here, Nick Fuentes, on, who starts going off about Palantir and JD Vance, and that's off brand. That's off brand. So things get kind of awkward.
You know, Palantir, all these new generation defense contractors, they're all over Unit 8200. They're all over Ehud Barak over there in Israel. It's filled with shadowy corporations that are funneling their technology into our country. We're going to trust them in our
Well, I'll say this about Palantir. It's all really the hot thing to say it runs everything and it's so big. It's tiny compared to the other AI companies and defense stuff. It is trying to make a run at getting a bunch of big contracts. And so I'm not defending what it does. My point is, compared to all these other big companies, it's tiny, and that's why you see the left attacking it a bunch too. So I see a weird alliance with kind of the anti-Israel folks and the left with the Muslims and like Palantir. It's the big thing. I mean, its contracts are tiny compared to the other stuff.
But what Palantir is a privatization of the surveillance state. They work for the CIA. They come from the CIA.
What I've seen is Palantir has been trying to reform the government contracting process.
Oh, is that right? Oh, they're the reformers. Oh, wow. That's the spin. Okay, that's what we're going with. Okay, they're trying to reform the government contracting
trying to make it more competitive and more efficient. But what they're doing is they're funneling all of our data into the government. Clearview AI is part of that suite. They ripped everybody's faces off of Facebook. Palantir's involved in Gaza doing facial recognition so they know which Palestinians to blow up with drones. And JD Vance is the protege of Peter Thiel, who's the co-founder of Palantir. That's like George Bush all over again. That's like George Bush, head of the CIA, being Reagan's vice president.
That's what Whitney Webb said, right? Or was it Whitney Webb? No, it was one of the other tweets in the last segment. They said this is all Bush-era infrastructure. This is all post-9/11 infrastructure.
Well, yeah. We talked to her about that when we had her on Jimmy's. Yeah, they decided to start outsourcing stuff in order to evade constitutional protections that a government agency would be subject to.
Exactly.
So you don't like Vance? I think Vance is awesome.
Oh, I think he's terrible. Awesome. I don't. First of all, I think he's fake. Everything about him is fake. His name's fake. His venture capital career is fake. His story's fake. He's a fake Marine. He's a fake populist.
A fake Marine.
He did press releases. He wrote press releases.
All right, let's go to commercial. Let's get this guy back in here. Yeah.
Whoever booked this guy, I'm going to eat your fucking liver on the break.
In news releases.
Well, I mean, he was over in Iraq. He never said he was a war hero.
Well, he wasn't in combat, but he makes.
But he's not like Senator Blumenthal that was never out of the country and said he was in combat in Vietnam. He ran the Toys for Tots program at the Senate. I mean, hold on.
No, he's not like the Democrat who was worse.
I know Vance. I followed him. He's always said, "Well, I was just over there in the press. I'm not like the real heroes." But he was in Iraq.
But he's over there the other week doing a photo shoot where he's shooting guns, hoorah, acting like he's some kind of combatant. He was a journalist in the Marines, which is what they do.
Here. I still owe $800 billion to the parents of Sandy Hook, and I'm completely dependent on this cabal for my daily bread. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up right now, Nick. Shut the fuck up. Do you see the panic on my face? Take a hint and shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
This is what these people do.
Well, hold on a minute. So if you go out and shoot guns, you're being a poser now? I mean,
I think he's a serious poser, yeah. I think he's trying to make it seem like he's some kind of, yeah.
So he's like Tampon Tim, think you put shotguns in the back of the shotgun?
I think so, yeah. I don't
think that's fair.
Well,
he's never said he was a combat Marine.
He might not have said that, but I think that's sort of do people know that he was writing press releases, or do they think that he's some kind of a Marine, that he was doing missions, or I think he's creating the perception that he's out there fighting bad guys or something. He was writing press releases.
No, he's trying to figure out what he's going to do.
He's trying to figure out how to get out of this.
He's so expressive. I mean, the thing about Alex Jones, this is what makes him gold to watch. Everything about him is just so expressive. Look at his expression.
Know that he was writing press releases, or do they think that he's some kind of a Marine, that he was doing missions, or I think he's creating the perception that he's out there fighting bad guys or something. He was writing press releases.
No, I mean, I think DHS had Gnome as Commando Barbie, but I think she's doing a good job.
Well, she does the same thing. They wear the uniform, they shoot the guns. Hoorah, it's a Marine as vice president. Not to mention his name is fake. He's a venture capitalist, but he was a no.
I mean, his name's fake. He took his family name.
Hamill, Bowman,
Bowman
Vance.
is his name, yeah.
He changed his name 3 times. He changed his name to coincide with the release of his book. And the book, by the way, he wrote the book under the tutelage of David Frum, neocon, speechwriter for George Bush. And
I think he did a great job in the debates. I think he's great.
he did good in
There's
the
the
debate.
pivot.
He's good at talking. I'll give him that, but I don't trust him. I think he's
all right. Let's go. All right, Nick Fuentes. You can find him on what is it, BitChute, wherever the hell you are now. Anyway, thanks. Get the hell out. I mean, but that. I got this rat. Yeah. I mean, that is the blue-pilled version of the red pill. That's the jank.
Yes.
That's the TYT of the red pill world, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, Palantir, they're a bunch of reformers, and JD Vance is a great guy. No, JD Vance is the liaison between MAGA and this really scary dystopian shit.
Exactly.
That's why he's there. That is why he's there.
Exactly.
That is his purpose. That's why they needed him. And man, asset out of containment. That's what they said in the new Jurassic Park when the dinosaur escapes the cage. We have an asset out of containment. That's Nick Fuentes there.
Yeah, Alex Jones is one of these sacred cows in certain segments. You know, when we've done segments mocking Alex Jones, it's one of there are certain things where, like, you know, you hit a third rail with these people and they go berserk. I don't understand how this fucking Hulk Hogan impersonator goes on ranting and raving for 3 hours and you don't see that he's a performer. He's a performer, he's a con artist and a clown. Oh, he was right about this and that. Dude, you talk that much, that many days, you're going to be right about some shit. Like, nobody with the resources would ever bother. I would love if somebody did his batting average, like would sit down and listen to 10,000 hours of Alex Jones, because I promise you 99% of what he says is total bullshit.
Well,
Once in a while,
stop
stop clock. You're gonna just law of averages. You're gonna hit on some unlikely thing that you said that actually went ahead and happened.
Well, and he's gotten worse since he's branded himself. The worst thing you could do if you're in the news and commentary business is brand yourself and make yourself a partisan, make yourself a cheerleader for one side, because then you're wed to that and you can't separate yourself from it without, you know, suffering great economic losses that you can't always afford because you've built the business up to sustain a certain level of activity. And if you lose that, you got to let people go. You got to close shop. You don't want to do that. You know, Alex Jones had never really entertained electoral politics until 2016 when he backed Trump. And, you know, as someone who had followed his work since the Loose Change documentary, which I already knew most of that stuff before I saw that movie. That's one of the reasons why I kind of got into him, because when I was watching, okay. I remember my college roommate calls me up to his dorm room. You got to watch this movie. I said, what's the movie? He says, 9/11 was an inside job. I said, yeah, I know that, but what's the movie? And he says, it's called Loose Change. I said, all right, I'll come up, we'll watch it. And yeah, so that's how I got to know him. But the point is, I think he was more accurate when he was less branded. Once you brand yourself and you become a loyalist, now look, you make yourself ridiculous. Oh, Palantir, a reformer. I mean, come on. This is the
look at him struggling to get control of the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
Control of the guest to shut down everything that he's saying, because look, he still owes a lot of money on these lawsuits, and basically these are his patrons that he's talking about.
Right.
That whole Palantir world, they're the ones who are sustaining him now.
Right. Exactly.
The whole PayPal mafia, that's his bread and butter.
Right. Exactly.
Please clap.